This is NEM 2015, and I have the honors of talking to Tom Fontana, a writer, producer, and showrunner. Welcome to Dubrovnik.
Thanks.
Are you enjoying yourself? This is not your first time in Croatia.
No, we shot part of the last season of Borgia here, and we had a tremendous time. We were here in February, so there weren't so many tourists when we were here last time, but we had so much fun.
This is a great setup to see, just to see outside the window and outside the balcony. You really can get inspired, which is pretty important in what you do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The name of your panel is A Match Made in Co-Production Heaven. What would you say are the downsides, the downsides of co-production?
Well, I think in terms of financially, you have to wait for each of the partners to say yes. We're going to do another season.
Right.
And even though Borgia, the first season, was a huge success, some of the partners weren't ready to commit to the second season for their own reasons. Each region has their own reasons. So that was a little nerve-wracking and different than America, where if you have a hit show, you boom, you're picked up immediately. That was probably the single biggest problem. In terms of production, I think we had 28 different countries represented because we shot in Czech Republic, Italy, and Croatia and Slovenia. And so there was a lot of, you know, there were French people, Spanish people, English, Irish, Italians, Swiss, Austrian, Germans, besides Czechs and Croats and you know, and sometimes it could be like the Tower of Babel, where a lot of people were talking but not really communicating. But for the most part, because everybody truly respected each other and we all knew why we were there and what show we wanted to make, we ironed out all the problems. Because people do shoot film in different ways in different countries.
That's actually my second question. How different is it to make something like this in Europe in comparison to the U.S.?
Well,
money, of course, I guess.
Well, you know, I mean, nowadays in America, the money isn't necessarily always there either. They're always going to look for partners, or they're saying to you, do it cheaper. So sort of the golden age of you can spend as much money as you want in America is over. But I would say that from a creative point of view, I had to do like 2 different versions of the show. I had to edit 2 different versions of the show. The French one, I could pretty much do whatever I wanted in terms of violence or sex. Whereas the German version, I had to be much more restricted in the kinds of things I could show. And that always, you know, from a creative point of view, because I don't put in violence or sex just to put in violence or sex. It's always a dramatic reason. And so it was a little frustrating sometimes having to do editing, you know, where you finish one version and then you finish another version. Yeah, and then there was the 3rd version, which was the international version. But that was more like the French version than it was like the German version. And then the other thing for me, being a writer as well as the showrunner, it was seeing the show dubbed. And sometimes I would see it dubbed with the English translation, and it would be completely different than what I wrote, and I'd be like, well, I didn't write that. I worked for 2 hours on that speech. You know, that was poetry, and now they just
somebody changed it. I'm laughing because in Croatia we actually tried dubbing something once. It was one show. I'm not sure it was Mexican or Spanish. Doesn't matter. It was terrible. It was because people in Croatia are not used to that. We always had subtitles since forever.
I prefer subtitles, but now that I've
me
seen
too.
the bad translation, maybe not so.
Yeah, and then you watch television in Germany or in Poland or Hungary and then or in Italy, and you see, I don't know, John Wayne or somebody speaking Italian, which is weird. Yeah, it's so weird. So I guess it must be weird for you as well.
Well, it's weird. The one thing that Canal Plus, the French network, did was they aired it on both in English and then in French with subtitles, and then in French without subtitles. So you could watch it any way you wanted, which I appreciated, you know.
That's great. Yeah. How much does your creativity depend on the budget that you have to work on?
Well, you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing in the sense that, you know, the old saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Sometimes by being limited in how much you have to spend, you have to focus the scene on what's really important, as opposed to, oh, and there'll be, you know, fireworks and horses and all that stuff. On the other hand, sometimes when you want to do something that really is important for the characters and really important to move the story along, and you're told, oh no, you know, we really can't afford that, that's when it gets frustrating. But for the most part with Borgia, I worked very well with our line producers, and so we were always able to work things out, and we had very good European directors who knew, you know, how to cut corners in different countries. So I'm very proud of Borgia. Oop, I keep hitting the mic. I'm very proud of Borgia, and I think it's because it was this collective energy, that really brought it together.
Tom, thank you so much.
My great pleasure. Thank you.